All right, looks like we're live. Let me see the Facebook page real quick. Cool. All right, looks like we're live. I know it's Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It's 3 o'clock, Friday, everything like that. I know that we're not expecting a lot of people to probably show up for this. Everybody's probably shopping Black Friday, getting out in the madness. So I hope if anybody's out there braving that, it's going well, and you're having success, and it's not too crazy and stressful on you. And so now that it's the day after Thanksgiving, what I would like to do is just take some time to discuss and reflect on what happened and what went well, what could have gone better, and now's the time to be present and reflect on that since it's so fresh in your mind. It just happened yesterday. So there's a lot of things that you can take from what happened yesterday to do better next time and use that as a learning opportunity to grow, to do a little bit better in the next time you're faced with those decisions. So today's topics are just going to be a quick, let me set my stopwatch real quick here. I do want to keep this under 20 minutes. So we're going to be covering tips for surviving the holidays, how my Thanksgiving went. I'm just going to give you like a little wrap up of what I was kind of intending and how it actually went. So my expectation versus reality, what to reflect on to do better next time. And just in general, sharing my thoughts on kind of how my perception of food and how it relates to the holidays and how I treat all that has changed over the years with WAG, being with WAG over 3 or 4 years now. That's changed over the time. And so the stress and things involving the holidays just aren't there anymore because I've grown in so many ways over the years. So I want to kind of share that journey with you towards the end here. So let's just start why it's fresh in your mind. Go ahead and think about 3 things that you were successful with yesterday that panned out the way that you intended them to. So maybe that's you drank all the water you wanted to drink, you loaded up on a plate of protein and vegetables before you went in for all the other, carb heavy, fat dense stuff, the stuff that's kind of unknown or that you might normally stress about tracking, but you use some, purpose in choosing to eat those things first so that you filled up on them so you could manage your expectations and your desire for those other foods later because you've kind of squelch that hunger a little bit first so you can go in with a little more clear mind. You don't have your stomach working for you. You can think with your mind, not your stomach, right? So what I did is I made 3 points of what I did. I wanted to stick to my water. I wanted to do the protein and veggies first. And then I just wanted to enjoy the other things that were being cooked and just keep them to about a cupped hand portion size. That's really all I wanted to do. Other than that, I wasn't tracking my food or anything like that. Everything else was just kind of business as usual throughout the day, even though I knew I was going to be actually under eating because I was just going to be too busy cleaning, cooking, and all that thing and catering to friends to really stay on top of all my food. So that just wasn't the expectation I was setting for the day. So I went in with a realistic approach so that I could have a realistic outcome. So sometimes setting that bar is too high is what ultimately sets us up for some of those failures because we're trying to keep 100 things in check rather than just maybe 3 really solid things that are just going to get us through the day so much better, right? So what I did was I just woke up yesterday. I read for 20 minutes, I did 20 minutes of ROMWAD, and then I went and took my dogs for a walk. So I checked the me box first. Just got that out of the way. So I'm good and taken care of. No matter what happened the rest of the day, I'm solid. I took care of me, so I can go into the day just feeling good that I at least set the intentions and kind of put some positive affirmations out there for the day of how I wanted the day to go. And why not just start the day that way instead of this getting up and going, it's chaos, it's Thanksgiving, let's just jump into it, right? You get to kind of delay that chaos and just go into it with some ease and focus and clarity. So that's what I did, and then I just got to cooking and doing my thing and doing all my prep work. I ate a normal breakfast. I drank 25 to 50 ounces of water before even my friends showed up around noon. And then there was just 4 of us eating food and hanging out. So I snacked on some meat and cheese plates. What I didn't do was keep it like this thing that I went back and forth to. I tried to just keep it to having a plate, picking what I wanted, saying this is my snack, I'm going to make this last. So I would keep coming back to my plate rather than coming back to the smorgasbord of stuff that's spread out where I'm just picking, and I kind of, it's hard to be aware of how much you've been eating if you're just kind of grazing, right? So having it on a plate and seeing it kind of disappear a little bit at a time, even though I'm snacking, taking care of other stuff, I'm still kind of keeping a mental check that I'm not getting lost in just snacking and being busy with everything else I've got going on, and paying attention to friends and being present and all that stuff. So I made it easier on myself by doing that, so it's just one less thing I had to think about. And then lastly, I stuck to 2 drinks. I had 2 old fashions. Food wise, I went in and I filled up half a plate, and I'll post a picture in the comments after this just to show you the proof there. I practice what I preach. Half my plate was just lean protein turkey breast, and the other half was vegetables and salad, a beetroot salad and stuff like that. So just awesome. I filled up on that. By the time I was done that, honestly, I went back to the food and I looked at the green bean casserole, the stuffing, which I'm not a big fan of stuffing, and like one other thing. And mashed potatoes and some gravy. So I just kept that to a cupped hand each. My second plate wasn't even as big as my first plate. So my second plate was smaller than my first plate because of this strategy that I implemented. And then I ate it, and I honestly took my time eating it. It was slow. I wasn't scarfing. I was just present. I was laughing, enjoying the time with my friends. So I made it about just the experience and not just being immersed in food. So think about that when you go into these situations, whether it's family, friends, no matter what it is. If food is on your mind, food is what you're going to make it about. If family, friends, presence, being aware, being clear, just enjoying that quality time with people is on your mind, and that's what you're going in, then the food stuff can kind of come a lot easier because you're just not setting that up as this like ultimate fear in your head that's what you're worried about. So all in all, it was a good day. If anything, I underate. Had like 3 little treats to wrap up the day. They were real simple. There was no pies. So it was just a good, easy Friendsgiving, and probably one of the best. And I'd like to note that I made a turkey for the first time and I didn't screw it up. It came out beautifully. I was pretty impressed with it, so I'm pretty stoked about that. So I'm celebrating another victory on top of just keeping myself in check, and just having it be a totally different experience from previous Thanksgivings. I feel like this is the best I've ever done, and I feel good about that, and I wasn't concerned about it at all. So it's funny when you stop kind of worrying about getting lost in the minutia of all the little things you're trying to keep in place, and you just look at those 2-3 priorities for the day. You can pull out of these situations so much better. So let's see here. So I've got 6 minutes in. I'm just going to start ripping through these tips and kind of get to some of the other things I wanted to talk about. So with holiday meals, we just know that it's usually going to mean that there's a lot of sweets and there's a lot of calorie-dense, delicious foods available. These foods are available all the time, so the thing about it is that they're all just being condensed in one place, so it feels overwhelming because they're all there. We're rarely in these situations except for holidays where it's just like, oh my gosh, all this wonderful food is just in one place. It's like something out of a movie or something, and you got this Game of Thrones Thanksgiving spread or something. Yeah, you get excited, So let's talk about tips to kind of help change the dynamic and set yourself up for some success, and just not crushing it. I mean, you don't have to crush it, but just do better, right? That's all we're trying to do. And if you crush it, awesome. But just think about doing better and you're going to be just fine. So it's easier to change your environment than it is to change your mind. So number 1. So think about little things that you can do, like facing away from the food, not hanging out around the food, putting your back to the food, anything that just kind of takes your mind off of just visually always just looking at the food. You're in control of that. So you're not in control of necessarily all the food that's going to be there, but you can control the interaction that you have with that food. So think about those little things that you can do to modify your environment, and control ultimately what you can. So take the time to focus on what's on your plate. Take the time eating, sipping water, and enjoy your food. So think about that. When you have this plate of food, be invested in that plate of food like it was a date. Like you're on this date with this food. You want to give it your full attention. You don't want to be peering off. You don't want to be, doing all those things. So you want to kind of stay committed to just focusing on the food, giving it time, giving it patience, and giving it your attention. So by that, meaning take a bite, put the fork down, chew it, taste everything that you're tasting. Be immersed in that experience. Take a sip of water, wash it down. Look around at your family, friends. Be grateful. Be happy with this food. Like, associate good things with food. And you start to kind of change maybe some of the fears and the dynamics that you've had tied to these foods in the past. And one thing I just kind of thought about this week I was thinking about old traditions when I was a kid. One of maybe the best things to do to change your environment is think and act like a kid at Thanksgiving. Like, most kids, or at least when I was a kid, I wasn't too focused on the food until it was time to eat. It was kind of like, hey, is it time to eat yet? No, okay. And then we were playing. Like, we were outside in the woods, we were playing games, we were doing something over here. Like, we were distracting ourselves, so like we weren't worried about food. We just wanted to hear that dinner bell ring or the, hey, come and get it, and go to the kids' table and then start scarfing down. So one thing I thought about this week that kind of just made me smile was like, maybe just start acting like a kid at events. You know, go outside and play, go throw the ball around, get outside of the house if the weather's nice. Again, change your environment. You don't have to be right up next to the food. Happy Thanksgiving, Elaine. Hi, good to see you. And yeah, just have fun with it, you know? Like, go be a kid. Don't worry about just hanging out next to the food, and you're going to be fine. So I kind of dug that one, honestly. Number 2 is making tempting foods harder to access, so there's more of a decision made to eat. So kind of an extension of the other one, putting your back to it, changing it, the environment, so you're not just looking at that food, it's staring you in the face and you're just tempted by it all the time. So what you can do is maybe reduce the ease of reaching for food just because it's there. So we kind of have this tendency to, just because a food's there, it may not even be a food that we want or we're even excited about, or that would make us look twice at it if we saw it in passing in the public or something like that. But because it's there and it's present, we might just be like, oh, let me just nibble on that or try that out. And you're like, oh, what's this, what's that? So just be wary of those little things that you might get lost in and snacking. And then, you know, that kind of extends the time between thinking and seeing a piece of food or whatever, and then taking a bite and then eating it. You delay that response that you give, or that how you react to that food, by taking a little more time and awareness to say, do I really want this? Am I hungry, or am I just eating it because it's just there? And you start to get a little more in tune with some of those things. So think about that. Make tempting foods harder to access. So you have to make more of a decision to eat it. You have to put more time and effort into saying, I'm going to go get that thing. Number 3 is create or bring a balance of foods you can rely on. So with a lot of Friendsgivings, Thanksgivings, potluck type situations you're in, work, gym, whatever it might be, you can't control what everybody else is going to bring, but you can control what you're going to bring. So know that you're going to have one staple, maybe 2 staple foods that you're going to be good with. So maybe that's, you bringing a macro-friendly dish, like a really, like a low-fat mashed potatoes or something like that that's not loaded up with butter, so that you can enjoy mashed potatoes, because mashed potatoes is just that staple that you've got to have. So think about that one thing you've got to have on Thanksgiving, and that you want to make work for you, and that you don't want to leave up to somebody else to like check that box for you, or to make sure that it shows up for your holiday experience. Bring that experience yourself, make it what you want. So no matter what happens with the food at the event, you've got that one dish that you're really looking forward to, and you can rely on that dish. And of course, you've contributed to it, and maybe showed somebody another way of preparing a meal, so that it doesn't have to be this fat-laden, crazy holiday meal. It can actually be pretty substantial in terms of calories and things, and still be plenty delicious. So think about the little different ways that you can influence and inspire other people to take a different take on their traditional foods too. So number 4 would be combat resisting and saying no to temptations by setting boundaries or having an ally. So Adi's talked about this, and Michael have talked about this in their Q&A episodes. If you haven't seen any of the ones that Adi's done by herself, or Michael and Adi have done together, go over to our WAG Live YouTube channel. We've got all those things over there with the Facebook Lives, and on the WAG YouTube channel, the main channel, we have all the Q&A videos that they've done together. So think about checking those out. But one thing they've always talked about is having a spouse, a family member, or a friend that can help keep you accountable. So if you've got 3 goals that you want to hit for the day, let's say it's the water, eating protein and lean protein and vegetables, and plenty of greens and colorful vegetables before going in for your second plate, or you're going to eat off a smaller plate. Whatever those things are that you want to do, make somebody else aware of that, so that when they see you taking certain actions, they can call you and say, hey, is this action aligning with the plan that you wanted me to help you adhere to, or have you changed your mind? And so use that as a tool to be like, not that person to like slap your hand and make you feel like you're doing something wrong, but just to say, hey, serve as that little person on your shoulder going, you said you wanted to do this, but I see you doing that. How are you feeling about this choice maybe? And that just helps bring some awareness. And again, it's that accountability buddy that you have to say, you said you wanted to do this, but you're doing this. So your expectations aren't meeting reality. You've got someone to help you call yourself out on that, to be on your team. You've also got somebody on your team to deal with food pushers, family members who just like, oh, you never eat this, or you eat this, or they want to make your plate for you. Just please try to recall that you're an adult. You get to make your decisions. Food is very much still an adult thing that you get to make your decision on. So don't feel pressured by anybody, and have that accountability partner to say, hey, no thanks, we're sticking to our diet today, or we've chosen not to eat those foods today so that we can save room to eat these other things that we really want today. Or say, well, we've got other events we're going to this weekend, and we're making those ones about the desserts, but this one's about the more traditional foods, or the turkey and this or that. So don't be afraid to stand up against people, because in the end, if their feelings are hurt, that's not on you. That's just them. You can't control their feelings being hurt by you just politely declining or saying no, and continuing to follow up with an advancement of pushing to say, no, thank you. So just stick to your guns with that, and you're going to be fine. And that's just, yet again, another way to slowly change that dynamic. So if you fear and stress over holiday situations because you deal with family members or friends who are food pushers or alcohol pushers, this is a time to not let them get away with that. So they're only going to do that so long as they succeed in getting you to change your mind. So the more they realize they're not going to change your mind, and you're going to stay steadfast to your goals and what it is you want to achieve that day, the less that they're going to be this thorn in your side, and they're going to stop. And that's going to feel pretty good, because then you can show up to these events just go like a boss going, I've got this today. I'm not going to deal with any of that stress I did last year. And this year it's going to be a lot different. So again, just thinking those things, setting boundaries for yourself. What do you want to accomplish? Do you not want to track that day? Do you want to stay loose and enjoy yourself? Whatever it is that you decide, own it, accept it, and just do your best. And then finally, the fifth tip is make decisions kind of with your food harder. And that's kind of taking time to literally say, I want this food, but I'm going to put a different strategy to this test. So it's being aware that, okay, I finished 2 small plates of food and I'm feeling pretty good. I've got room for dessert. I made sure that that's what I want. And maybe you're going to eat that dessert. No matter what you decide, you're going to eat that dessert. That's fine. But if you don't need this test, just do it anyway, just to say, I wonder if I can do that. And this is where you literally set a timer on your Fitbit, your phone or something, and just set it for 2 to 5 minutes and say, I'm going to wait that time to see if I really want that slice of pie or whatever it is, and see if that thought is still there 5 minutes later. And maybe sip on some water in that time. And if the thought's there and you still want that piece of food and you're still feeling good about getting it, go get it, enjoy it. Don't regret it for a second. Tomorrow's another day, whatever it is, But maybe that taking the time to pause and think about why you want that piece of pie, or maybe you might want half that piece of pie so you can enjoy a half of another piece of pie, and that's just the best of both worlds and still keeping that control. Maybe you might change the dynamic of how you look at desserts and things like that. Maybe it's not a contest to eat as many pieces of pie as you want, but you find a way to say, well, I want to try this piece, a little bit of this piece, and a little of this piece, and you still get that satiation of getting those desserts in, trying a little bit of everything, but you didn't go ham, you didn't go hard in the paint or hard in the pie. So again, it's just another opportunity to change how you relate yourself, how you relate to food, and the choices that you make around them, so you can delay the time between taking or having like a negative reaction of just saying, I just want that pie, I'm going to eat it, to taking a breath, taking some time, thinking about it, and then you delay the positive response that you give to that temptation or that need by saying, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do this sensibly. So just a little buffer there, and just gives you a little bit of leeway to say what's possible or what can be different. And that's always cool, and that's always fun. You've got nothing to lose from doing that. I guarantee you're going to gain something introspectively from that every single time. So give it a shot. And whether or not it works, you tried it, and you might be a little more willing to try that again next time, or maybe you come up with better ideas and you find your own solutions that say, this actually works because I combined two different ideas. So basically, to kind of wrap this up, I just want to kind of summarize these general tips and then tell you how my thoughts about the holidays have changed over the years. So just kind of going down the general tips, decide what you want your holiday to be. It is about celebrating traditions and the one day a year that you might let loose, or it's an opportunity to change how you treat your holiday meals. So if you don't want it to be how it's been in the past years, this is your chance to do it. So maybe Thanksgiving went well, and you raise the bar a little bit higher, and now thinking ahead 4 weeks from now, it's Christmas time. There's going to be another series of holiday meals and events and things like that going on too. Think about the different scenarios you've got going on and say, I want X, Y, Z to happen at this one. I want this to happen at this event or this one. Think about the different events you've got going on and think about the things you want to accomplish at each one. Because maybe one's about the dessert, maybe one's about the turkey and this type of food, and maybe this other event's about this. So think ahead. Take the time to put a plan in place and just be a little more aware rather than just going in and saying, I don't know what's going to happen, let's just see. If that's what you're testing and you're getting more intuitive, sure, go forward and do that. But again, to each their own, you've got to make it what you want it to be. So biggest thing is don't feel guilty the next day. Don't get on the scale if you don't want to. What I always suggest is just get up and do something good for yourself. Whatever that is, move on. So get up the next day, read a book, do 20 minutes of stretching. I went and I just got a workout in just to get it done and over the way. So no matter what happens the rest of the day or where my schedule takes me, I'm good. I checked that me box again. So go for a jog, go for a walk. Reward yourself with activity. Don't punish yourself with activity. That's the huge thing. Activity should never be a punishment for choices made with food. Activity is something we get to do. It's a benefit to life. It's how we get to enjoy and utilize our bodies in ways we never thought possible. So, and that's what we're working on advancing over time, is just being more active, being more aware that we can take positive actions to just change what may have happened yesterday and do a little bit better today. So when you show up to any of these situations in the future, I do assess or advise assessing the food spread before you pick up your plate. So like locate your lean vegetables, your lean proteins, all your vegetables. You want to fill up on those first. Decide what foods are like worth it, I say, and what you wish to avoid. So say, well, that's the foods I definitely don't want now, or that looks gross, I'm not touching that, or I don't even know what that is. Like indicate those things so you're not just showing up and you've got people behind you and you're just like, and you might just be kind of scattering just to put food on your plate to move it along or not really know. So before you go up, get an idea of the spread, kind of check your boxes for protein, veggies, and then just maybe use that cupped hand system to just try a little bit of everything. Keep it within the portion of your cupped hand. It'd be kind of like, half cup to a cup of a serving of something, and just try a little bit of everything, and you're going to be fine. It's just we're trying to avoid the overeating and then just piling the food on without even thinking twice about it. We're just trying to slow that down. Changing your serving sizes, or like another, I read the wrong thing here. So changing serving sizes simply by, maybe there's big plates out, maybe all the plates are this big, and you're like, well, I'm not trying to fill up 3 plates this big. Ask to see if there's a side plate, maybe use your bread roll plate, whatever it is. Ask the host, get a smaller plate, and then you're visualizing a smaller meal, you're putting less food on it. Maybe that psychologically impacts you, because if you, instead of eating like 1 or 2 big plates of food, you ate a couple of smaller plates of food, and that gives you the idea that you're eating a lot more food when really you're not. You're just getting to get up and kind of serve yourself a couple of things more often, and maybe that's that little pleasure center that you get. Maybe it's the, oh cool, I felt like I got to eat a lot of food, or because I took so many trips up to the food. In reality, you kept your food pretty small and controlled, and because you had a smaller plate, you got to really taste it. You might have 1 or 2 things on your plate rather than this plate that's just this, just mixture of everything. Turkey, this, and it's all overflowing on top of each other. And you don't really even get to taste one thing to the next, because it just kind of all becomes this blended mush of stuff on your plate. So think about that. Is that how you want to enjoy that food? Do you want to taste everything individually and say, damn, that's a good green bean casserole, and you just tasted every flavor of that green bean casserole, and then go taste the mashed potatoes. I'm like, these are great garlic mashed potatoes. Think about those things. Like, think about that relationship and that joy of those foods too, in how you decide to plate your food. That can make a world of difference for you, and how you even treat food, and how you actually get to enjoy it. And who knows what's possible. So in closing, what I'd like to talk about is just how things have changed for me over the years. I agree. I've been there. Holidays were basically an eating contest, and I don't know where. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's society. I don't know where holidays turned in to have this expectation that we're in this, and it's an eating contest. Maybe it's an American thing. I'm really not sure, but this is one thing where my perspective has changed over the years, and I put a lot of thought into it, and that's helped me just go, it doesn't have to be this way. I don't have to go in and have this feeling that I'm here to do some damage, or that I'm here to feel like shit. And I'm sorry to use that word, but like, eating to feel like shit is not a good thing. It's not a good feeling. But eating to feel good and to feel pleasurable and to wake up the next day and go, man, that was a good time, and just keep moving on, so that you're not beating yourself up about it. Like, there is a big difference there. So the thing I like to say is that, and I'm just going to read this because I kind of want to get my point out without stepping over my own words, but holiday foods are no different than the food you eat the rest of the year. It's just as available as your healthier choices. Just because it's in one place doesn't mean we have to treat it like there's some sort of shortage. And maybe this is where the mentality of overeating and stuffing ourselves comes from over the holidays, is that we don't see the cranberry sauce and the turkey and all these things together in one room except this one time a year. But it's like, you can make that happen anytime you want. There's nobody stopping you from having Thanksgiving food every single day of the week if you want to. So why make it out to be this thing that's like the scarcity that you've just got to get your fill of until 365 days from now when you get to do it again, right? So it's kind of a silly thing when you really stop to think about it and you start to break it down. You're like, why do we do that? So that's really what I've been dwelling on, and it just makes me kind of shake my head. I'm just like, I don't understand it anymore. And it's just something I've started to step away from, and I just don't want to. I've chosen to say I'm not going to be a part of that anymore, because that's not what I want to do and what I want to be. I've decided to make the holidays about the people, and if there's no food around and I just have people around, I'm going to be a happy guy. It's better if there is food, but I'm still going to be a happy guy. So in summation, just don't give these foods any more power than they deserve. I'm not sure again where we turn this into an eating contest, because it just really doesn't need to be. You've been putting in the work to change your relationship with food and see how that works for you. So now's your chance to change your perspective on annual traditions, so you can confidently make decisions that are best for you and your goals. So be thinking about that this weekend as you reflect on how yesterday went. Maybe you've got another event this weekend, and that event's going to be the chance for you to go and say, I'm going to raise the bar a little bit higher, or maybe I hit X, Y at yesterday's event, and this time I want to hit X, Y, Z. Just be willing to put that bar a little bit farther up and then see if you can meet it, and something's good going to come of it. You're going to learn something either way, and you absolutely won't regret it. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Real quick, we are having a Black Friday sale. If you use code Black Friday on workingagainstgravities.com WAG gear, or the Shopify site, you'll get 20% off all of our WAG swag. So go check that out. If you missed this video, it will be available in the Team WAG Facebook group for all of time, and I'll also be getting it up on our WAG Live here in the next week or two, and you can check out any other coaches Facebook Live in the past couple of years on that channel as well. So again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have an excellent weekend. Enjoy your WAG Unplugged tomorrow, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Can't wait to hear your comments below. See ya.